The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Bracken Farms, Stonewall Stud, IRT, it's your horse and our passion, Australasian-wide Garrard's Horse and Hound, Ricciero Racing Stables, Lincoln Farms, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge Raceway, Ashburton Trotting Club, Addington Raceway and Harness Racing New Zealand. Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Michael Guerin, a stunning 4 days of selling, 3 really outstanding days. One we'll touch on as to why the trotting sale didn't go so well, but overall a great testament to New Zealand Bloodstock, the vendors, preparers, everyone who's got behind this year's sales.
Yeah, hi Greg, hi to everybody around the country and to those offshore who purchased horses or sold horses. Congratulations. It's been a pretty wild week, Greg. Wild weather-wise, at Karaka on Sunday, which seems a long time ago now. There were trees falling and records falling as well, with the average up to 61,500 there. That's sort of numbers which 10 years ago would have seemed impossible. There was that little dip on Monday, Greg, but I thought really strong for, again, good colts and good fillies by the top 3 or 4 stallions. I think we thought Betters and Art Major over the last couple of years would dominate, but I thought Captain Treacherous really arrived, as did Down by the Seaside in the north, and of course Always Be Mickey. So Greg, there was lots to like about sales week, and later we'll talk about the biggest story of the week.
All right, let's get into the overall stats for you. So here it is from New Zealand Bloodstock. That aggregate will probably go up $14.5 million at an average of over 50,000. Clearance rate across the 4 days, very good, 75 again. There's a bit of business to be done throughout the week, no doubt, at 75%. And the 2 equal top lots, one in the north, one in the south. The Better's Delight colt out of Double Twist, the Twist and Twirl family, the family of King of Swing, of course, and a Better Twist, and the Better's Delight colt out of Fight for Glory. Again, a Group 1 family and a brilliant performer. Fight for Glory was obviously winning the Neverly R and at least one other Group 1. Michael, most significantly, we get into the Auckland sale and we talk about, well, the start of what nobody really predicted was going to happen, Stonewall Stud going to town.
Yeah, they were massive. Steve Stockman and Steve Telfer, along with Jill, they obviously set their sights on this week. I think about a month ago they weren't talking about numbers quite so big, but they did their due diligence. They looked at the horses on the farms, they then vet inspected plenty of them, and Steve was in a mood you see very occasionally, this being Steve Stockman, at the sales, that basically I've decided I'm going to buy these lots and I'm pretty much going to buy them. They missed a couple, maybe one, but on the whole, they got most of the ones they wanted. This is a big charge, Gregory. This is them saying basically, we want to be the top dogs in the country. I think they have the trainers, the facilities, and the drivers to do so. Here are the numbers. We saw the 260 for the Better's Delight. Really heartening to see 220 for a Lazarus. A lot of people loved Gregory, and $190,000 for a filly as well. She was a big, beautiful type of horse, as they say, you could put the hopples on tomorrow. Very strong, Greg. Not many holes in the sale. A couple of slower little moments because there weren't many people there for obvious reasons. I think by the end, there might have been 20 buyers left, but those buyers were there to buy. So incredibly strong. The stallion strength is a key factor. I still think, Greg, and we saw this in both islands, people are reluctant to buy away from those top 4 or 5 stallions, adding Sweet Lou to that list as well. So they're reluctant to buy anything else. And I still don't think people want to take a launch at new stallions. But the way harness racing's set up, Gregory, they don't have to. So that was the key factor there. A lot of black type. I'm not so sold on black type and harness racing catalogues, but what we saw at both areas, I think, Greg, was those good stallions, or in this case, Better's Delight for the 2 toppies, across modern recent families. And I think that's the key recipe for harness racing at the moment.
Yeah, congratulations to the vendors. Brecken's obviously top there. Tardina had a good sale, as did the Hollis Robertson team there with the captain Treacherous out of Veste. Speaking of Ken Brecken, got a chance to catch up with him yesterday in Christchurch to get him to gauge how he felt the sale went. Well, Ken, the dust has settled well and truly on the Karaka sales, and from a Brecken Farms point of view, Brecken Bloodstock, I'm picking you are pretty happy.
Oh, an excellent sale. Really, really pleased. Again, some way overs, a couple of unders, but overall a fantastic result. And Nigel Fahey and the team done a splendid job.
You still had 4 or 5 that were not sold on sale day, but you were telling me before that most of the business has been done on them?
Yeah, very quickly. We've got one probably left, and one, if we don't sell, she'll slip into the filly syndicate next year, but we've got quite a bit of interest from her today, in actual fact.
Lot 66, the Bay Colt by Betters out of Double Twist, this family that you guys, in many ways, have made famous.
Yes, I mean, that was a great result. I mean, he's one that, gosh, you've got to pinch yourself getting a price like that, but he was an outstanding colt. And as you say, the family, that's not Karen hitting me, by the way. She'd like to if I spend any more money here today. But, you know, the family's just doing so great with King of Swing, obviously, in Australia, Horse of the Year again, and Better Twist. So, outstanding colt.
Let's turn our attention to what's been happening in Christchurch, and you guys have been battling to get what you want. You did get a couple though, lot 209, the Lazarus out of That's Hunting Pink for your syndicate that's raced so many of these good horses.
Yeah, and of course we're racing him with Glennis and Philip Kennard, and of course, you know, we don't have to talk about the great horse Lazarus, so it's great to have one from the stallion. He looks very similar, he's a dark horse, very similar to Lazarus, so we're pretty excited about him.
All right, he was lot 209. The other one you got was an Always Be Mickey from the Arden draft of the Stuyvens out of Arden's Darlin, and you were telling me before you got that for unders about 55.
Yeah, well, Steve Stockman must have been having lunch, because we were quite surprised. We were willing to go over 100 for him. That just happens in auctions, you know, and we were very fortunate. Of course, we've had a lot of success with John and Judy Stuyvens' horses, and obviously South
Coast.
Yeah, so same bloodlines, very similar bloodlines. So again, very exciting for us.
Yeah, well, I think Karen's calling, but we might have to let you go and have a look at some of these horses. But are you buoyed by what has happened, particularly in your own neck of the woods in Auckland, but also the first day here, from your investment point of view? That's got to give you confidence.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's been quite strange. I mean, last year, as you know, the trotters went for incredible prices, and again, Christchurch followed on, not great results. Can't understand really why, but and again, pacing's taken off in the North Island. Last year, the first day here, I think was poor by memory. Electric yesterday, and I think it'll follow on today. And it's just great that you're seeing a lot of money going back to vendors, and particularly some of the smaller guys, you know. And I think that's key for the industry going forward, that they are getting good results, because we do have a horse shortage, and they're going to breed again, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, it certainly is. A couple of things out of that, Michael. First of all, that was not staged, and no, that wasn't Karen kicking the wall beside Ken. And secondly, the filly they bought out of That's Hunting Pink, Ken rang me straight after. He said, I think I called that him. And I said to him, listen, don't worry. I think people will understand when you sell 35 horses on a Sunday and you're buying at the next sale, it's easy to get the sexes mixed up, because they always buy colts. But I know they're wrapped together, Lazarus. But yeah, Ken, very buoyant about what's ahead, particularly around the breeding area.
Look, I think there's a lot of difficulties in the industry at the moment, Greg, with field sizes. Alexandra Park have obviously had their difficulties with stuffing up the development. But when you're buying horses at the yearling sales, you're looking 2 years into the future, and a lot of that debt will be paid down 2 years in the future. Our new calendar will be bedded in 2 years in the future. Slot races both here in Australia will be in play. And there's also things like vision rights and betting agreements and JVs to come, which will add more money to the pool. So 2 years in the future we'll be in a better situation than we are now. And when you're buying horses for that, you've had to pay the prices you're going to be paying then. There's a lot of horses bought this week which will have the potential to be sold, you know, for those 300 or 400s in the time to come. The trotter sale was interesting, Greg. And one of the reasons, I got offered a trotter on Monday by a top trainer. And the reason I didn't want it is because I do think there's no secondary trade market, or a very small secondary trade market. I bought into a horse on Sunday, an Up Major, beautiful horse. And I know that if it gets up and runs, and it's not the horse we want it to be, it's not going to win us the Harness Million, then I know we can trade it. There's absolutely no issues. You can sell it to anywhere. Trotters are different, Greg. You can't sell them to Perth, very hard to sell to Sydney, and no real market in Queensland, Tasmania, South Australia. Like, you're talking small money, irrelevant money that's no good to you. So then you're stuck with Victoria, and there's only about 2 or 3 actual people. I'm talking just people, not even just dozens, just 3 or 4 people who buy these horses. Andy Gath, for example, with Norm Jenkins. And again, very rarely do you sell these trotters for 100,000 plus. So people who go to the trotters market, Greg, tend to be end users. They are buying because they love trotters, and they are going to go on with the job with the horse. So when you take 3 or 4 of those people out, like the Australian buyers who we're used to seeing here, very quickly those markets can fall apart. The other thing too, Greg, is I think we've got only one Muscle Hill in the sale. We've lost a lot of them. There were a lot of colonial trotters early in that sale. I think when you've got a trotting broodmare, Greg, it's really easy to say, oh, we'll just go down the road to this or to that. And I'm not going to name any horses because I'm not trying to insult anybody. And who knows, they might be good horses in the end. But being a good horse and being commercial are 2 different things. And if you go to those lower end trotting stallions, it's going to be really, really, really hard to sell them to anybody for the sort of figures you're hoping to get back for them. And I think that was one of the problems with that sale, Greg. So no overseas market really for it. The resale market isn't there as it is for the pacers. You can sell any decent pacer any day of the week. And I think that we still have too many horses in that market, Greg, where someone has pid the old mare to the stallion down the road for 2.5. That might get you a Dominion handicap winner. I don't know. But it won't get you a big price at the sale.
No, exactly, and you've got to be commercial to take them to the sale. Hey, just before we leave the Auckland sale, a couple of bits of sad news. Ray Kennedy, the Maguire man, passing away, and also Sandy Yardley lost his son Stuart. So a couple of huge influences on the breeding arena in the north, Michael, so pretty sad news there.
Yeah, Ray did a super job, built his own breed out of nowhere, and of course we know Sandy was the king of the sales at Karaka for a long time, so for their family to have a loss right on the verge, on the cusp of the sales is terrible. Our thoughts go to the Kennedy family and of course to the Yardleys as well. So yep, sad times, and I'm sure Ray would have been thrilled to see what the sales have become, because he was a supporter of it way back in the days when 25,000 was a good lot, Greg.
Yeah, you're right. Let's have a look at the Christchurch sale now, starting with Monday. Disappointment from so many different viewpoints. Just over $1 million, clearance rate lighter than the pacing arena at 71%, and the top lot was lot 183. The tactical landing petite one. For Barry Purdon, 110,000. After the sale, Love View One Over to Sky was sold. Gavin Smith picked that up for 100,000. Mark Purdon purchased the Andover Hall out of One Over to Stars at 70. And as you move down here, plenty of families there, Michael, that we know so well, but overall, statistically, a disappointing day for the trotters, and some of those people, some of those vendors certainly went away disappointing. The On Solitaire, nice to see a new season sire attracting quite a few bids, and in fact I think Tony Hurley, he bought 2 of those, so he obviously liked the product that he saw.
He was busy, Tony. He was a lot busier than I thought he might. I think he got about 11 for the week. Yeah, again, not a disastrous sale for regards to most of those horses come off very cheap stallion fees. So you're not losing 100,000. It's not like you're going to Savabeel. But yeah, we need to look at that. Clearly the biggest factor though, Greg, is the Australians not being there. Emilio Rosati, I think, has topped that sale 2 of the last 4 years, and he wasn't there. And there's not much you can do about that. It's a very small, tight-knit community, the people who will pay more than $50,000 for a trotter, Greg. So I think next year it'll bounce back for sure, but we have lost some stallion strength. When you have those Muscle Hills and a lot of Love Views, serious international type people may want to buy those horses. It's not quite as easy when you don't have those horses, Greg. So I wouldn't be panicking on the trotters just yet. I just do think that we need, all as an industry, to make a really big effort to get those Australian trotting lovers across here for that day next year. Hopefully, if it's available to us, Greg.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's go to day 2 from Christchurch, because things certainly turned around. Bettor's Delight Fight for Glory, 260,000. Great buying there, 210,000 for Elusive Chick, which for me is one of the stories of the sale. Of course, she was purchased for $3,000 by Derek and Adele Jones. They brought a couple of other owners in there, ended up winning a harness jewels, and now the Bettor's Delight Elusive Chick sold for 210. Captain Treacherous, Better Think Twice, a great price there, 185, and the Always Be Mickey Bodine Babe, 180. Things got off to a flying start there, Michael, with that Bettor's Delight Tack Lizzie at $150,000, and just below that one is the Akuta family one, produced by Renwick Farms, who had an outstanding sale, including the one at the bottom there at $90,000. Out of Fortune Lover. So that was day 2. Let's go to day 3 and have a look at the top lots from there. The Hot Family, the Captain Treacherous Imaginary Bet, 200 was the top. There's another Renwick Farms offering. Out of Salandra, the family of Samhara at $150. The Group 1 winner Opulent at $130,000. Group 1 winner in Gotta Go Harmony. Group 1 winner in Spanish Armada. So some wonderful, wonderful black type on that page, Michael.
Yeah, and what you're seeing, Greg, and what you were just talking about is a lot of very recent mares. Spanish Armada, Rona Lorraine, we know Gotta Go Harmony. These are mares who are recent and people remember them. And what we are seeing through the development of the last 4 days, but even over the last 2 years, there's the stats, for those who didn't see them earlier, is the development of a secondary market, which we haven't thought much about. I've raced a couple of good fillies, and you can't get good money for them very often. We had a good one who we got 100 for. I've also had Group 1 placed fillies we sold for 40, which is vastly different from the gallops, vastly. But I think, Greg, you can make a really strong case, and you and I talked about this yesterday. If you went out and bought one of the best mares in the country now, or best fillies, you can do so with a lot of, it makes sense. You know, if you go to Bettor's Delight at 25 or 20 or whatever it is, you're a good chance of getting a $100,000 foal. I think his average for the week was 91 betters. So now we're seeing a market to retain mares and fillies in the country, which Breckens are doing and Woodlands are doing. And I think that's really important. People like the Taffy Limited people down south, Greg, are doing it. I think that's really crucial, because about 5 years ago I stopped buying fillies at the harness sales because I thought there was no way to get out of them at the back end. But I do think now, commercially, you can say to yourself, if I've got a decent mare, I will make money out of this. And I think that's really important. And I would look at buying a filly again for those reasons. I may not have enough money the way some of the money is flying around down there, Greg. So I think there's some real underlying strengths to that. The filly retention market is going to be really crucial for us because we're not sending as many offshore. And also there's the potential to buy some of those horses back from America because they maybe don't value our breed. Amazing Dream and those type of horses. Are they going to stand at stud in America? Or are they going to be more welcomed back here? So the other story of the week, Greg, was, and it was the impossible to miss story, was Steve Stockman. Steve Stockman was massive. Now, to give you some context around that, because some people here would not know Steve Stockman, Steve is a wonderful guy who's been a lifelong harnesser. He's been in harness racing as long as I have. And we've reached the almost perfect situation here, Greg. Now, I'm not giving Steve Stockman or Steve Telfer or Jill any credit here they don't deserve. This isn't about heroising them. But if you were to create in a laboratory a situation which you wanted to dominate a sale, and they did dominate, top 2 lots, 21 lots, Greg, this is perfect. Because harness racing's had this big moan fest for the last 10 years about Mark Purden and Natalie Rasmussen being too good. And everybody's going to leave, and it was Mark's fault people were selling horses offshore, which was complete garbage, but he got blamed for it. All of a sudden now we have a new entity. They're not new to the industry, but they are new in buying at this level. And what you're doing is they syndicate their fillies, so anybody watching the show can get into a Stonewall horse. Well, that's got to be good. They keep almost all of them, unless they're slightly inferior, in which they may sell them. They have a brother and sister training team of good people who are open to the media. They have no credibility issues, no integrity issues. They have an owner who's keen to make the best of things in both islands, so both islands get strength from Steve Stockman's buying surge this week. We have people who don't get on Facebook and make ridiculous claims and go around abusing people, which has been a little bit of an issue for harness racing at some stages. And we have people who embrace youngsters. They are embracing Tim Williams. They are embracing Ben Butcher at a time when they could have had more experienced drivers. They're embracing Ali Barron. If you said to somebody, away from Diamond Racing, who are doing a great job, but they don't need any help, they're doing super, and the Mark and Natalie thing, if you took these 21 horses that Steve Stockman bought and gave them to Mark and Natalie and Hayden, people would be blowing up. The game's finished, they'll win everything. But now this giant new entity has emerged to take on the premiership in both islands, and it can only be good for the game. It's exactly what we needed, Greg. I take my hat off to Steve. It's an awful lot of money. I think he's got the right trainer to go through this process. Steve Telfer is a very thoughtful, thorough-thinking guy, and they're embracing the youth in the game. How it works out, I have no idea, Greg. I don't know if these horses will be any good, neither do they. But it is exactly what this industry needed.
Yeah, well said, Michael. Well summed up. And speaking of summing it up, let's wrap things up with the boss, Andrew Seabrook, before we go to a break. And when we do come back, we'll go to the first ever Harness Million Night, of course, out of Alexandra Park. Andrew, the end of a very long 4 days, but a pleasing one from New Zealand Bloodstock's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely thrilled, Greg. We've done nearly 15 million at the end of 4 days. Started off a bit testing with the weather conditions in Auckland with COVID, the red light, and using the pod system and seeing how it was all going to go. So we're a little bit nervous heading into Sunday, but no, it's worked out really well. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, huge effort up there, 61,500, up from 50 the last year. So obviously, turnover-wise, it was great. Coming to Christchurch, where were the confidence levels at?
We hoped it was going to flow on. I mean, last year it didn't flow on as we would hope, but remember we had that week off because of the border closures and what have you. So, and then the trotting sale was a little bit slow on the first day. We sold a lot that night and we were feeling a bit better, and then it just got into action when the paces started selling on Tuesday and continued on the Wednesday as well. And to end up for the whole week, nearly 15 million, $50,000 average, up 10%, the median was up 20%, the clearance rate was up. All the stats are looking good, so really thrilled and looking forward to the future.
Andrew, this is the 4th year you guys have sold the Standardbred. What have you noticed? What's the biggest change, if you like, and therefore what is created now a $50,000 average?
Two things. First, the preparation and the presentation is now fantastic. It's really stepped up a notch. That's the first thing. And secondly, the quality of the videos and the photos, and I think COVID's probably helped that. That has really come a long way. So, big tick to all our Standardbred vendors. They've done a wonderful job.
What about your staff, and in terms of, I'm not who's sure is totally responsible for building the online platform, but gee, it seems to work well.
Yeah, it's really good. And when we had the power cut on Sunday and the website went down, the online bidding site actually kept going. That actually keeps going. It was good. I think we sold 30 odd horses online for over $1 million, and they would have been bidding on every probably 4 or 5 lots. It was really good, and it adds that atmosphere to the ring too. When you got online versus Christchurch or Auckland, it's the auctioneers can use it to their advantage, and it makes for some great viewing.
Talk about the theatre. I thought I'd heard everything from Steve Davis, but he had a beauty the other day. Love the sound of it. Wood on wood.
Yeah, he uses that a little bit at Cracker, and just don't tell Steve Davis that he's a great auctioneer. But no, I think Cam and Steve did a wonderful job, just the two. We usually have the 3 auctioneers, but they did a good job. I thought the atmosphere here today was fantastic, and looking forward to the next one.
All right, really appreciate what you guys have been able to achieve. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
Welcome back into your box seat. Let's get straight to Harness Million Night from Alexandra Park. Last Saturday night it was, in clement weather, but gee, things hotted up straight away. Here is the Lyle Creek Stakes, a war between Bolt for Brilliance and, of course, Sunday Sun. Here's Aaron White to bring them home, and then we'll hear from the master trainer driver of the winner.
He's trying hard, but Bolt for Brilliance and the Iceman to get the first on the inaugural Harness Million Night here at Alexandra Park with NZB. Bolt for Brilliance to beat Sunday Sun.
Well, that was the best version of Bolt, Tony. He was very dialed in tonight.
Yeah, no, he was. Once we sort of held the front not too bad early, I thought, well, I'll have a crack, and yeah,
It was a little bit more like the horse we saw last year during the Cracker Hill clashes, those sort of 55 halves.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like the 55 half out there tonight was pretty good. We like down the back in 27, that was okay, but that headwind up the straight and still come home in 28, well, that was good. And he sort of, one Sunday sun just dropped off a little. He did ease up himself a wee bit too, but in saying that, he was really good.
Lots of options. Do you take him south for some of the decent races down there?
Yeah, well, we'll just see how we'll have a look, Nick. Yeah, I'm not really setting any plans at this stage, and I'll look up what it looks like down there. But otherwise, they haven't got much race until about May. Yeah.
Okay, the Row Cup's obviously the big one, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those lead-up sort of races. Yeah, that's right.
So a great clash, only I think it's the second time that Bolt for Brilliance has managed to beat Sunday Sandicles, bred by Brad Reid, who now works for Harness Race New Zealand. Big part of the breeders. He sold an American Ideal colt for $60,000 out of Classical, so a big smile on his face. Let's just move from that Lowell Creek and go straight into the 3-year-old race, which of course was taken out by Highgrove, the hot favourite. We'll get to John Dunn on the other side. Look, there was only 3 in it. He found the front. He's the best, no question. Here's Aaron White again, and then we'll hear from John Dunn.
And it's going to be a very, very comfortable win here for Highgrove, the son of Love You, to beat El Conqueror, and Wi-Fi to be the third and final.
Well, that's probably as easy as you're going to win a $75,000 race in your life.
Yeah, it sure is. Shame for the race and that. It's just 3 in it, but big relief once I got over that first 100 metres.
He's a wonderful horse. Do you think there's a lot of mental improvement to come from him because it's a long 3-year-old season?
Yeah, definitely. He's got a long way to go that way. He sort of took a bit to work him out to even get him round, going this way round. So he was all right last week, a lot better tonight. So hopefully, sort of a couple of months when we have to come up here and race again, he'll be even better.
What's the short-term plans for him? We know long-term there's going to be derbies, but what do you do with him now?
No, he goes back home now, and then like Great Northern Derby up here is first on the in the size stakes, so that's next on the agenda, and then back home, bigger tracks, and our way of going. So looking forward to doing that.
I'm sure Sunday Sun's looking forward to getting home too, because missed a race here last week, which made it a bit hard to have him at peak fitness tonight.
Yeah, it did, but taking nothing away from the winner. He's a great horse, and Tony's a great driver. He sort of outdrove me there, so full credit to horse and driver.
It wouldn't be the first person he's outdriven.
No, dead right there. It won't be the last.
Yeah, good humour there from John Dunn. He's a smarty, Highgrove, Michael, and he's a hot favourite to win both of the derbies, and why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, lovely horse. Lovely big long stride on him, and you can see he's still developing, Greg. Going to be interesting to see how he holds together, as in not galloping during his races, but you would think now he's won going that way, he deserves to be favourite for everything heading forward. So interesting comments here from John about Sunday Sun outdriven. I'm not sure that's true. Tony had the better draw with Bolt for Brilliance. Once he got the lead, that was that. I just think Sunday Sun was a touch on the fat side after missing that race the week before and being on a different beach, Greg, where he probably wasn't quite as comfortable or quite as easy to train. So 2 very good trotting races there, but great to see Bolt for Brilliance standing up, Greg, because with Muscle Mountain doing the same down south, we have a really cool trotting season ahead of us.
Yeah, we definitely do that. True Fantasy was a hot favourite to take out the Fillies Classic, and here she is in front. She had the barrier draw to work with, didn't she, Michael? And once she got there, she was a little bit too good for Mickey Montana, who I thought was excellent. Dance Till Dawn, and Cover Girl getting into 4th position. Nothing wrong with her performance either. Bred by Stud Home. She's $1.55, Michael, to win the New Zealand Oaks, $1.60 to win the Northern Oaks. And that Northern Oaks, Remember Me, who of course goes round in a heat of the Oaks on Saturday night at Menangles, $2.90. But True Fantasy's got the pin-up status at the moment.
Yeah, she's probably too good for these fillies, and I think she would be 9 times out of 10. Remember Me, maybe a slightly different situation. I think she's a horse who could challenge her, but yeah, she's very, very good, and I think she's probably wasn't at her peak last week, Greg. She had a slight setback before she got up there, only had the 1 trial. I think the better version of her will be over a longer trip when the speed is actually on. I'm not entirely sure, Greg, she's actually a leader. I think she half-weighted for them there the last 50 metres.
Yeah, I'd have to concur there. It's the hot family, and it couldn't have come at a better time for those breeding along this line. Merlin, he's 2 from 2 now. Zachary Butcher, he looks the pro, doesn't he? He found the front, dominated from the top end. He's $1.95 to win the Young Guns final from Sevi, who was excellent. Let's hear from Zach post-race, though.
Merlin will get the first heat of the young guns. What a run, Sevy. He missed the start by the best part of half.
Well, Zach, Merlin is very nippy.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of quick speed. I see he had a look at the times after. He's gone a 1:59 mile rate sort of thing, home in 27.5, and he did it pretty comfortable, to be fair to him. I was reining him up the straight there and wasn't sure if he'd come to the end of it or was having me on. I gave him a couple of little flicks short of the line and he took off again, so that's always a good feeling.
You told me he's a better horse driving him from behind, but obviously he's in charge because you haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I just point him in the right direction and he does the rest of me. So, look, you got to make the most of those draws. You know, the one I thought I had to beat, Sevy drew outside of me, so you don't pull back and let him get in front of you, although he galloped at the start. But yeah, there's no point in pulling back and letting him get in front of you. You sort of dictate the race and make him catch you. So that's sort of what we went with tonight, and Sevy went really well, but like, you know, I always felt like I had him covered.
The later start to the juvenile season seems to be working at that fuller fields, and the horses look better than they do earlier in the season.
100%, they're stronger. They seem to finish their races off better, come out of their runs better. So I think it's a big plus for the game. Like anything, we're always taught from a young age that horses are far better with time, and it's sort of proven that now.
Yeah, Merlin, Sevy, more the better. I think we're going to see plenty of them through the juvenile ranks right throughout this year, so looking forward to that. Richest race of the night was the Harness Million for $200,000. It was billed as a match race between Akuta and Franco Indy. That unfolded for most of the race, but not where it counts on the winning post. Stephen Reid and Simon McMullen back in the limelight. Here's Aaron White and the Reid man post-race.
Magic 4 sticking his neck out. Magic 4 goes to Akuta. Magic 4! Magic 4 will get the NZB Standardbred Harness Million. Just photo second. Akuta and Franco back.
All right, be honest. Did you see that happening at all?
Absolutely no chance in hell I could see that happening.
What do you put it down to? The tempo of the race, the better's delight, blood? Are you just that good a trainer?
I'd like to think we're pretty good trainers, Simon and myself, but I think it's probably a combination of everything. I said to the owners a few weeks ago that he will go good following pace. So when I saw Akuta and Franco Indy, I didn't honestly think he was any chance of beating them, but I thought if they go hard, one thing he will do, he will keep going.
A shame your training partner Simon can't be here tonight. Been looking at yearlings all day, early start tomorrow, so it's left to celebrate another night, Reid man.
Yeah, absolutely. And mate, one thing about it, mate, we certainly will celebrate.
What happens now for this horse? I presume you've got to go to the Northern Derby.
Well, he was the subject. He's been the subject of a few offers from overseas, obviously. But I've said to the owners, not knowing obviously tonight was going to happen, that we're probably going to run him through to the Derby, Great Northern Derby, and then we'll sit down, have a talk about it. But I don't know. After that, maybe he's a keeper.
Reid man, I've interviewed lots of trainers in my life at various sorts of race meetings. This is the first time I've interviewed someone with a man bun. This might be the first man bun Group 1 in New Zealand racing history.
Do you reckon it could be?
I recken it is.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mick, if I keep winning Group 1s, I'm going to keep that man bun.
So that was Stephen Reid. Fashion, I'm not sure that it's been a huge part of his life, but he's having a crack in the latter part of it, Michael.
Well, first it wasn't a Group 1, so that's my bad. It was a listed race worth $200,000. A lot of people happy to see that. The man bun's working. He's got himself a beautiful partner, Reid man, so I don't know. I'm not sure I could put it off Gregory, and I'm damn sure you couldn't down in Canterbury. I'm not sure. I think you might be moving out of the house if you did the man bun for Karen. Just a great story. We'll talk about that first. Reid man and Simon don't have that many great horses around them. Yep. They work really hard and they're good horse people. So you say to yourself, what would they be if they had 10 decently bred horses? But they've got one now. I'm not sure how good he is. I don't know what to make of it all, Greg. Just Peter Ferguson, by the way, congratulations to him too. I have no idea what to make of that, Greg. If you had told me with a lap to go when Akuta was in front and Franco Indy was in the trail that was going to happen, I would have given you 1,000 to 1. There's just no chance I could see that happening. I've watched it about 6 times. I still can't work out what happened. I know there was an early burn, but these horses ran self-assured close last week. And maybe that's it. Maybe. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Maybe that was why. Maybe that just, I don't know, got to them a little bit more, because Franco Indy was definitely tired on the line. What it means heading forward is it means, I suppose, everybody thinks they were in play for the derbies. And I think this time last week they didn't think that. So it's probably good. It's great for the Reid man team. And again, congratulations to all the people involved in that. For the punters, Greg, I think it was utterly confusing. And after speaking to Mark, after speaking to Nat, I can't really shed much light on it, because had Magic 4 come from the trail to win, you would have gone, oh, he took the cheats lane and all that stuff that people complain about. He sat outside of Kuta and beat him, and it wasn't just him. Franco Mack did the same thing. So interesting times ahead, Greg. It's been a lot of fun.
He's $1.90 a Kuta now to win the Northern Derby. Let's go to Self Assured, winning the last race, the sprint. He is just in a different zone at the moment, Michael. He's clearly a happier horse, and under 2 minutes for the 1700, he was just too strong.
Well, he's the horse who has no issues. South Coast Arden pulled out of this race with a skin rash. Copy that's obviously kicked a fence and damaged a leg. And there's just a list like a Kuta, who was actually this time last week, bizarrely, the favourite for the race, which didn't make any sense to me. But then again, lots of things in the last week haven't. Whereas Self Assured, in the zone, doing things well, lots of pluses, no negatives at the moment. Will that still be the case at Cambridge on April the 14th? Well, the crew with SENZ will be hoping so, because they secured him. And we heard last week too that Pembroke Playboy has been secured by Dunstan Feed. So well done to those involved, Greg. I would suggest 2 slots gone to the race. South Coast Arden will get one. So we'll spank him if he comes up as well as people hope. And so will Krug. So Greg, as I view it, 5 spots gone. If Spirit of St. Louis wants to come, he's clearly got a spot because his connections have one. So that's 6 spots which might be gone, although he's 50-50 at best to come. I think there's 4 slots up for grabs, Greg. And what's getting really tempting now is if somebody doesn't take either of those 3-year-olds, Franco Indy or Akuta or Magic 4, if they don't take those, Greg, then a mare is guaranteed barrier 1. And in the last couple of weeks of play, all of a sudden, if you didn't get one of the good horses or one of the top horses,
you want barrier 1.
Well, it'd be tempting to get a mare, because then you've got a really good chance of getting your money back. So the pieces on the chessboard moving very quickly, Greg, and I still think there's at least 5 spots to go.
Yeah, Self Assured, $2.30. Markets out, by the way, tab.co.nz for the IRT New Zealand Cup. Speaking of mares, let's get to the Group 1 from Addington last Friday night. What a result for Regan Todd and the O'Briens, and of course Robbie Close getting his first ever Group 1 winning drive. She was too good, better talk art. We'll get Matthew Cross to bring them home and hear from the Group 1 winning trainer and driver.
It's Better Talk Art in front. Robbie Close and Regan Todd get the Group 1. Better Talk Art beats home either Need You Now or Kelly's Delight.
Immensely satisfying, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me up there, but it was going pretty crazy.
Look, she was awesome in the Premier Mares and burnt a lot early. She did a bit today too, but she got a more economical trip.
Yeah, it worked out perfect for her. He drove her great, and just a lot of luck. Just shows you in those races, if the real good ones have a hard trip and you're getting a good one, it does work in your favour a lot.
This combination of you and Robbie Close in the last couple of seasons has really developed and grown, and now to get a Group 1 together and his first Group 1, that'll mean a fair bit to you.
Oh yeah, geez, yeah, like it's words can't describe it really. You actually got me speechless for once.
Well, this filly, now mare, has done an awesome job for your stable. Southland Oaks and now this. What do you do with her now? What's the plan, or did you just want her to get to this grand final?
Well, I said to Steve after that good win at Addington and Cup Week, we'll give her a wee freshen up and sort of look through the programs, and I like these last 2 races, so to pull off a plan like that, yeah, it's pretty satisfying.
Not your first Group 1 because you got one in Australia, but congratulations anyway.
Thanks very much.
Well, she's been very good to you, and now she's a Group 1 winner.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, especially on her CV. You know, she's a super wee mare, and you know, she's never run out of top 5 in all her starts. She's honest as they come. She's probably underrated against those top mares, but hey, she's a great wee horse to me and Regan and all the owners. It's super.
Tell me about the run you got, because you decided to go forward again early.
Yeah, all week I was actually cursing myself from a drive 2 weeks ago when I went forward and probably set up one of the quickest lead times at Addington, but hey, she stuck to her guns last time and run 5th, so all week I was thinking go back, and then up behind the gate I was like, oh bugger it, we'll go forward.
Well, you went forward, you ended up in a slightly precarious position, but once she found the gaps, we saw another string to her bow, not that you didn't think she could do that.
Yeah, she's an honest as they come, you know, and when we did follow the right horses that we were, and you know, it was a bit tricky when Darling Me was in front, and they probably changed the whole race, the whole pattern, you know, and But she was travelling super around the bend, and when I got onto the All American Lover's back, you know, she sprinted hard.
What about your first Group 1 with Regan Todd? You two have put together a pretty lethal combination in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's been super to me, and he's looked after me the whole way through my career. And you know, I can't thank all the guys before him and everyone that supports me. But you know, Regan's done an awesome job. You know, younger trainer coming through, and he's looked after me, and I'll just keep trying to reap the rewards for him.
Yeah, so well done to the man they call the Goose, Robbie Close, obviously very excited about getting that Group 1 victory, and to Regan Todd. They've formed a great combination. The O'Briens bred this one, well done to them. And going forward, Michael, gee, there were some good runs here. Need You Now was excellent, like she wouldn't be out of a place in the race. She's already won a harness jewels, of course, at Cambridge. The Telfer runners raced very well, as you would expect. And yeah, I just thought Better Twist, she might have come to the end of it. And speaking to Natalie afterwards, she gave that clear indication. She raced very dour.
Yeah, and the fast mares have won both the races. The horses who can get off the gate and get on the speed and just be quick over that last 800. Great drive by Robbie, well done. Thrilled for Regan and the O'Briens. Obviously, they've stuck with that family. They've had an offer, a decent offer for the horse. I haven't heard it's been sold so far. I hope they retain her. I think she'd be a lovely horse to retain and a beautiful broodmare heading forward. Bella Montana out of the race, Greg. You were there after the stables afterwards, I believe, not broken down, but might have bowed a tendon, which would be the end of her career. And if it is the case, Greg, what a wonderful career it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of her great battles at Addington Raceway and throughout the country actually burn in your memories, don't they? So, yeah, sad news about her, but gee, she's a very valuable broodmare, no question about that. Busy show, so we haven't got time to cover off the Cheviot Cup that was won by the Falcons, so well done the connections there. And those three big races out of Cambridge, won by Son of Patrick, Last Tango in Heaven and Gold Chain. Just on Son of Patrick, goes to a race called the Keystone Dell, yes, at Menangle, the last race on Saturday night, so looking forward to that. Speaking of Australia with Garrards, let's head across there. Here's stylish Memphis, Michael, getting the business done in the Sibelius Stakes. Good time, 150.6. She's well on target to defend her ladyship and potentially go on to another Miracle Mile.
Yeah, she was super. Coming from third last around the 800 metre mark, she had a slight setback heading into this race, and it's no small deal to come from way back in the field to win at Menangle. She was able to do so last year in the ladyship. Wonderful filly, Greg. She should move to Australia and never come home. Not because we don't love her, but because she loves it.
Yeah, she's had about 6 or 7 wins at Menangle alone, so yeah, she certainly is loving that. Krug, he got beaten, Michael. He's come up with a beautiful barrier draw for this week's Chariots, but were you surprised?
I was surprised he got beaten. I think they actually went too slow. I think they went too slow in the middle stages and allowed other horses to get into the race and make it a sprint race up the straight. So, look, they've got the pull-down blinds on. I'm not sure. They're leaving them on for the Chariots this week. I'm not sure whether they'll use them or not. I just think he needs to be driven more aggressively. He has a good barrier. Teach and Raider is drawn inside him, so they're at barriers 3 and 2 respectively, and the horse who beats him here is actually drawn barrier 10, so that puts it more or less out of play. Great Chariots of Fire. Really deep, really even, no dominant Lazarus type favourite, Greg. It's going to be a really cool race. This Saturday night, then 3 heats of the New South Wales Oaks as well, heading to, of course, the Ladyship, the Oaks the week after, the Miracle Mile the week after that. So massive interest out of Menangle the next 3 Saturday nights.
Yeah, and of course Friday night, Michael,
Newcastle Mile.
They have the Newcastle Mile. That's a clash again between Expensive Ego and the
Bonsall Benjamin.
Promoted into Dominion winner.
Max Delight's there. Yeah. Really, really quick front line. Newcastle Mile sometimes can be very mixed. It's a beauty this week. Absolute top grade Group 1.
All right, let's go to Temporale, who was another brave performance from this grand campaigner. Majestioso, too good again, Michael, in the Night Pistol.
Yeah, I thought Temporale was every bit as good as Majestioso, but I think these horses are just, basically racing each other every week, and if Majestioso gets the front, it'll win every week because, yeah, they're a good, honest, nice bunch of horses, Greg, without a great deal of depth, and I think we all know that if Bolt for Brilliance, Muscle Mountain or Sunday Summer over there, Greg, they'd just beat them. But that's okay, because they're not there. They had the chance to go. They didn't.
All right, so much happening in Australia. We'll wrap all those races up on next week's show. As we go to a break, though, time for us to head down south. Yes, the Riverton Cup was taken out by McAndrew Aviator. Another excellent performance by this horse, beating Pembroke Playboy, who now, as we know, is in the race. He did have to come off 50 metres and was very brave. So we'll go to the break with that, and on the other side, wrap things up in your box seat.
They come to the line. Oh, it's very close. I reckon McAndrew Aviator has come back and won it. Very, very close.
Well, that Thornley name, it's synonymous with hardest racing, so I guess you were probably always going to be involved.
Yeah, I was going to be in it one way or another.
Yeah. Tell me about the driving side of thing, and is that the one thing that's always been your passion?
Probably not. I always rode horses, and that's probably was my main passion, and that wasn't going to make me money. So I guess I turned to helping Dad out in the mornings before school, and then you caught the bug, and yeah.
Dad being Chris.
Yeah.
Uncle being Craig. This is where it gets really interesting, and it's going to get even more interesting on Sunday. More about that in a moment. But yeah, they would have encouraged you, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I only had one place where I was allowed to work, and that was Spraydon, being under their two guidelines. Yeah.
Well, your first winner was Namira Franco, I'm pretty sure, too, for Spraydon, so it all worked out, and it was at the Mott.
Yeah, at the home track, at the track that I probably first went to and first ran around, and yeah, good to get it there.
All right, what were your goals when you started out? What were you hoping to achieve? Because I'm pretty sure one of them was achieved recently, the 15 wins.
Yes, I sort of was playing it by ear. It's sort of hard to know how you're going to go out there. I think just keep getting better and driving more winners, and just maybe picking up a few great Group 1 race or something like that one day would be real cool.
Right, but now you're able to drive on those premier nights. That means you're not restricted, and you're starting to rack up a few wins too. I think at last count you're a 17 or 18.
Yeah, I had a real good summer and Christmas period. Had some real nice horses to drive. So just hopefully people can see me when I drive good horses, that I can go all right, so to give me a few more good ones.
Gemma, on Sunday, a unique occasion. So you've got some uncles and your dad in the same race, and you're driving. So there's 4 Thornleys out there. Gee, if Olivia was there too, it would it'd be a 5-pack. But that's something pretty special.
Yeah, no, it is. I think, like, people always know the Butts names, and I guess the Thornleys are starting to take over now. Yeah, we all get along, so a few rivalries out there, probably a chocolate fish or something up for grabs, but yeah.
All right. What do you want to achieve, say, in the next 12 months?
Keep driving winners, I guess, and just keep getting my name out there, and, yeah, drive some nice horses, yeah.
All right. All-weather tracks or grass tracks, do you have a preference?
Grass tracks, 100%.
And why is that? Is that because it's softer when you land?
I've only had one tip out, and it was on the grass. I just think it just is a more interesting races out there. I guess the favourites can't always go as good on the grass. You don't get the grit in your face, which is a bonus. But I don't know, I just always like the grass track racing, yeah.
All right, you're doing some great things. Thanks for stopping by and chatting to us, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
So yeah, Gemma Thornley, she's really good fun to have around the stables, doing a great job too, and that Thornley name, see it so often turning up in the race book, there's plenty of them. All right, let's get into our preview. Addington Raceway on Friday night, a 9-race card, excellent race. It's the box seat mobile, so why wouldn't we preview this? One change has been in superb form. This is his performance at Invercargill. You see Pembroke Playboy to his outside, Ultra Wise Guy to his inside, racing really well since joining the Amber Hoffman team. And yeah, I think one change will go very close in this race, and it's a good race. So yep, give it an excellent chance. Takes on the likes of Classy Brigade, Henry Hubert and DiCaprio. So that's the 6th on the program out out of Addington on Friday night. Let's go to Alexandra Park and have a look at one of their features. 7-race card there. We're looking for First Rose coming down the outside in the yellow sleeves, and one that you're keen on, Michael, Blame It on the Knights in third, so it's a good strong race to be following into.
Yeah, they've both got wide draws. First Rose from 7, Blame It on the Night from 8. Interesting to see the tactics early here. I would suggest if one of them gets a long way in front of the other one, Greg, it'll probably be winning. But I just thought Blame It on the Night was a good horse who's a 5 or 6 win horse without needing to improve. I'm very keen on him this week.
All right, we've got our TAB hits and misses, courtesy of Matthew Peden and the team there. Bollinger was well backed, $4,000.65, got things right, as did O'Neid and Mickey, who's now unbeaten in 3. Highgrove, decent play there at $1.20, same punter one would think, went again at $1.10, and again with Merlin. A few that went awry, brilliant drive to beat Alta Wise Guy with Cranbourne. Matthew Williamson in sublime form at the moment in that regard. The Sunday Sun bet didn't come off, and maybe that is the same punter who just kept on going. Michael, come together 2,000 at 3.30 at Cheviot on Sunday, and De La Renta, I think it can probably win at Addington on Friday night too, 1,050 at $2.40. So that's the hits and misses. What about what you've got ahead this week? Well, we have Manawatu if you're watching this on Thursday, and we'll be back to our regular slot, by the way, next Tuesday record, so play out on Wednesday morning. Addington Raceway Friday night, 9-race card. They do kick things off at 5:23. Alexandra Park, their race meeting, they have the 7, it goes at 6:08. Rangiora have a day meeting, 11-race card there on Saturday, and Gore do race on the grass, and they kick things off right around lunchtime, right around 12 o'clock. So that's your domestic harness racing, but there's so much happening in and around the sales. You put that to bed now, Michael. There's a lot of good racing to come up. There is still some confusion, I suppose, from trainers that haven't really looked into where the calendar sits now, because they're not in their traditional spots. But like you said, that's going to take a good couple of years to bed in, I think.
Yeah, it is. And even for presenters, Greg, sometimes I'm thinking, when is that Great Northern Derby and those Great Northern Oaks? So I think a lot of people watching the show take it week by week, but obviously the trainers can't do that. We'll try and keep you informed. But what we do have, Greg, is a lot of very good horses, and probably for the first time in a long time, a lot of really even racing. Sunday Sun got beat last week. Akuta got beat last week. We don't have a horse who's just going to turn up and win the race, as Lazarus might have 5 years ago. We're going to watch this unfold together, maybe even True Fantasy versus Remember Me. I think we're in for a very even and interesting time over the next 3 or 4 months before we get into winter.
Yeah, not wrong there. Okay, what about the Rakiro Racing best bets of the week, Michael? We just showed a video involving your top tip.
Yeah, really like Blame It on the Night. I think this is a pretty good horse. And I think if it can get in front of First Rose, it will beat it. I think those two will dominate that race. So what did you come up with, Gregory?
Yeah, I was almost going to go for One Change, who actually hasn't won a race at Addington Raceway. I think it's won 7 of its 8 domestic races there since it won the Sires Stakes final in 2019. Mind you, he did go to Australia and win 8 races over there, and he's racing really well, so I thought he'd be hard to beat. But Regan Todd's got a horse that he spruiked last season called Street Hawk. It's race 4, number 1 at Addington Raceway. It's trialled really nicely. It's in a deep sort of a maiden field, but I really gave it a great chance. And we got Jason Broad, who continues to be in good form for the show, so we'll keep him rolling in with a Southland tip. He went with Miss Crazed at Gore on the grass. I think Blair Orange takes the drive, and he doesn't often drive for Phil Williamson, but yeah, when he does, they invariably race very well. So yeah, plenty happening in the game, Michael, but off the back of the sales, there's a lot of smiling people, particularly around the pacing side of things.
Yeah, and the creation of that secondary market for the broodmares, the fillies, to be retained in the country is absolutely crucial. That's the biggest factor out of that, and a lot of money has gone into people's pockets. So well done to everybody who sold a horse. Congratulations, it's a big thing to breed a horse. Well done to you, to everybody who bought a horse. We wish you the best of luck. And yeah, Greg, I'm looking forward to seeing things unfold, but good luck to Team Dalgety. Young Carter is doing a super job for them. They have a Chariots of Fire for $250,000 flying the New Zealand flag. We wish them the best of luck on Saturday night. Hopefully, Greg, a little bit earlier next week on a Wednesday, we're talking about Krug winning the Chariots, and then chasing a miracle.
Yeah, just one thing on that. Spoke to Crandell Getty post the sales yesterday, and didn't he get active in the last sort of 20 lots? He said, I had to spend a couple of extra, or add a couple of extra zeros onto some of his purchases, but that's what you have to do if you want to get the right type of horses. He said, yeah, I'm heading across there tomorrow, and maybe even I couldn't stuff it up. I'm going to get there that late, but he's looking forward to seeing Krug again, because he always puts a big smile on his face, and why wouldn't he? He's an excellent chance to take out that Chariots. But yeah, a lot of Kiwi interest across there. The Honey Queen's there as well, Michael, so I think she got a win last week in about 151. So yeah, if you're thinking Saturday night, what am I going to be doing, you could do worse than tune in and watch the Kiwis there at Menangle.
Yeah, the Honey Queen was excellent for Luke McCarthy. Really rates the horse, and she'll race this week in a qualifier for the Ladyship Mile, which is on the Saturday week after, where she would clash with Stylish Memphis. So excellent, smart idea from the Honey Queen team. Send her offshore, give her chance. She's already got a 51, which is going to help her when she, getting back to the other point, gets retained and bred from for the sales.
Yeah, no question about that at all. Thanks for joining us this week. A later box seat. We'll see you back in our regular spot next week, but from Michael and I, it's bye for now.